Hi, we're Shannon and Jerry Arner.
And our dog, Betty White.
Your hosts of the Arner Adventures podcast.
Could we have named it something more creative? Probably. But it's the name of our blog. It's our last name. We're on an adventure. Yada, yada, yada. After owning our own business, working 24/7.
And don't forget a mental breakdown in between.
We made a lifestyle change and decided to make the most out of life.
We sold our house, most of our belongings, downsized, and moved to the coast.
We live life minimally, but fully.
We live each day as an adventure.
This show will help you learn how to live life more fully, with more intention, by experiencing more, and with less stuff.
We'll talk about our own experiences, interview others who have much to share by creating a spark in our lives.
Some days we'll share real-life ongoings of what we're going through, and others will talk about our favorite flavor of waffle.
Come join our adventure.
It's the Arner Adventures Podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Shannon.
Betty White, our pup, is here hanging with us, and we are back for episode 21 of the Arner Adventures Podcast.
Since this is Mental Health Awareness Month, we thought we would share an interview we had regarding our relationship with social media. But first, let's get to the review of the week.
Today's review comes from Edgar L. Edgar says, I started listening a few weeks ago and have listened to 2 to 3 episodes per day to catch up. That's crazy. This has been so interesting and informative and is one of my top podcasts right now. Right up my alley. Great show.
Thank you so much, Edgar. We're not saying you're crazy. We're saying we just cannot imagine anyone listening to our voices for 2 to 3 episodes per day to catch up. But we do admire that. And we are so appreciative.
Yes, deeply appreciative.
Thank you for your review and for becoming a listener. And thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate it.
If you'd like to be our review of the week and get the chance to receive a gift from Sugar Wish, please take a moment and give us a 5-star review or rating.
We have an easy link for you all to follow to do that. It's lovethepodcast.com/Arner Adventures. But no worries, we're going to link it for you in the show notes. It helps us so much to support us in that way.
While you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button in the platform you're listening to us on, so you'll be sure to be notified each time we have an episode drop.
Well, today's episode, as we mentioned, is going to be us sharing an interview where we were asked about how we got started and how we have utilized social media in a positive way, our connection with mental health, etc.
It was an interview with a local to us television station here in Eastern North Carolina, WNCT, and we were interviewed by Courtney Layton. We thought since it was Mental Health Awareness Month, it'd be a good time to play the interview for you, for those who may not have caught it, and after we can address some things that we think are important that came up.
Well, should we go ahead and get to it?
Okay.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Jerry.
Yeah, and we are lifestyle bloggers of Arner Adventures, and we're North Carolina natives. Well, you're sort of
in North Carolina, yeah, in the Raleigh area all my life.
Yeah, and we actually lived in the Raleigh Wake Forest area, and then moved to the Crystal Coast. We actually live in Beaufort now.
Moved down in 2017.
Yeah.
So you guys are strong mental health advocates. I love that.
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell me why you're so involved in mental health and why that's so important to you guys?
Yeah. You want to go?
Yeah, sure. You know, I had struggled with a lot of anxiety issues over time, going back a long way, and had just come around to a point of wanting to address that in a more proactive way.
Right.
And we've done that through a lot of that's just been interacting through this blog and our podcast.
And then, kind of comboed, sort of worked nicely together is that we owned our own business, which is kind of how all this started back in Wake Forest. And through a culmination of just, we grew really fast and suffered a lot of burnout and actually in the last few years suffered a lot of loss. And through grief and depression, and I suffered a burnout. I mean, that was just a mental health burnout. And I think both of us suffered different things, and we're sort of supporting each other the best way that we knew how. And through, I guess, a couple of years of not taking very good care of ourselves physically nor emotionally, learning through that is sort of where our passion comes from for mental health.
Yeah, the catalyst was running our small business, and if you don't have the tools in place to take care of yourself, a small business can be so overly encompassing, that you can get in a kind of a rough place because you're always working and not taking care of yourself and whatnot. So that was the sort of tipping point after we went through that. It was like, oh, we got to learn how to take care of ourselves, and
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
understand.
Mhm.
And when we had our small business in Wake Forest and through the burnout and realizing that if we didn't, that could be a really long story, but if we consulted a business broker, and we knew that if we didn't sell that business, or we were going to close it, sell it, whatever, but if we didn't end that, we were just not going to make it. I mean, we were not going to make it. We knew we needed a lifestyle change, and for us, that lifestyle change had to happen for us to just physically go on. So when we sold our business, and the combination of a lot of things sort of happened literally in the span of a few weeks. We sold our business, we sold our house, we sold most of our belongings, and people thought we were losing it. And when we did all of that, people kept asking us, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we just kind of decided, instead of having to explain to a million people, because again, we were going through burnout, we just decided, let's start a blog. Let's just kind of start a blog to communicate. It really was just to kind of keep people in the loop. That's all it was. As social media started helping us form this community for Arner Adventures, we started growing and growing this community, and then we started becoming inspired by people who had sort of cultivated the life that they wanted, and started realizing that there are so many other people who, not the same way we had. Sometimes there were people who had taken their own path in a similar way, but definitely not the same journey, but had done something maybe similar that was not the norm. We just started kind of plugging in these people who were inspirational to us. And we always said that they created a spark. They were a spark in our lives.
I love that.
And it sounds like a soap opera.
Well, it's a lot of people too. Yeah. And it's a lot of people too who do self-help sort of podcasts and whatnot.
Speaking of your podcast, you guys I saw a virtual launch for your podcast. It was a little party. How was that? Because I saw the picture on your Instagram and I was like, I have to know how this was.
Oh, it was so great.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Again, because so many of the people that we had met via COVID, I guess during the COVID time, were able to attend this virtual party that, and I know it sounds like well, maybe some people think that creating a podcast is no big deal. It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For us, it is. So, and I'm a little neurotic too. So, coming up with everything, but it took like a year to sort of figure out everything that goes into it. And then I'm super, again, neurotic and OCD and all of that. So I wanted to make sure that, what was the format going to be and all of that. So coming up with everything, being super organized and having a launch date and everything, I wanted a party. And being able to have a party and invite everyone we wanted to invite, we couldn't do it. We surely couldn't fly people in. I mean, we couldn't do that. So we thought, well, why not do it virtually? If everything else we have been doing is via social media, let's just sort of do it. So what we did was we launched it on the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And so it was great. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And Betty White, our dog, was with us, and she has her own following. So
You know what I love about water? Well, other than living by it,
Well, there are a million things to love about water. The sea life, the healing properties, part of the Earth's
okay, all
atmosphere.
that, but I love drinking water.
Well, of course, but did you know that humans can only live a few days without water?
Yes, yet so many people live a dehydrated lifestyle.
Well, Liquid IV makes it super easy to stay hydrated.
Hey, folks, Liquid IV isn't scary. There aren't any IVs involved.
No, Liquid IV is a hydration multiplier. It's a powder form, an electrolyte mix that you just add to your water. It delivers 2 to 2.5 more hydration than water alone.
They have all kinds of flavors you can choose from, and they have some with energy multiplier and immune support. Also, a benefit, they are non-GMO, gluten-free, soy-free, and dairy-free.
If you're someone who either has trouble getting your water in or maybe just wants to get in the express lane with your hydration, you should definitely try Liquid IV.
For our listeners, if you go to their website, liquid-iv.com, and use code ARNERADVENTURES, you can save 25% off of your order and get free shipping.
That's awesome. We'll link it in the show notes too. Liquid IV, fueling life's adventures.
I need to know how she got her name. Was it just the love for Betty White, or where did that come from?
It's a little of both. So Betty White, our Betty White is a rescue. And she's a pity mix. And so, like social media, she gets a bad reputation. Pitties do. And so when we rescued her, we knew that she needed a lovable name of someone that everyone loves. And I'm a huge Betty White fan. So
she even had the Golden Palace DVD.
Golden Palace?
The spinoff from Golden Girls?
One season.
Yes. That's awesome.
It didn't make it very far.
No, it didn't. But you know what? They tried. They did their best.
They tried.
Yeah.
So when we adopted her, we were like, she's white, she's lovable. Let's name her Betty White. And it stuck. And so now she's 11, and we adopted her. We think she was almost like 8 or 9 months when they found her. So she's a senior now, and we're sort of known in Beaufort as Betty White's parent. So she gets some brand deals, and we're really picky about who we work. We're really authentic, so we don't just like get brand deals and make money. We want to make sure that it makes sense. So when someone approaches us and says they want to work with Betty White, we make sure it's either a product she uses or that it's something that they support rescues, or that they're, it's all something that we really love. So she makes her own money. Sometimes we'll say, all right, Betty, it's time to get to work.
Your weekly podcast, that's every Tuesday, correct?
Every Tuesday. Yeah.
So then I checked out your YouTube, and you guys have a monthly check-in. So what does that entail? What do you like to discuss when you do your monthly check-ins?
So last year we had a no buy year. And so every month we would check in and let people know how the no buy year was going. This year it's more things like we're getting ready to start our garden. So we talk about that. Sometimes we just
travel.
Travel. Yeah, it this month will be, a lot of people want to know. We kind of put a lot of times we'll poll people on like Instagram of what we think people are going on, or use our DMs. Our audience is really vocal with what they want to know about. So
very interactive.
They're really interactive. They're really engaging.
They have a lot of questions for the people we interview.
Yeah,
that's important too.
Yeah.
Helps us a lot.
So our no buy year was just a monthly check-in of how it was going, and they would say, how we didn't buy any clothes last year. So a lot of people were like, how are you? Yeah, like how are you doing this? So we would
by the last one, they were like, why are you shirtless, Jimmy? Well, we really stuck to this thing, and
we were really adamant about this.
Yeah.
It's just tips. I mean, we give resources. Like we have a travel prep list of how to not check luggage, and save those fees. We have a freelance resource guide for people who, might want to have take part in the Great Resignation and
Mhm.
cultivate their own life. And we try to just be positive and contribute in a positive way.
Yeah. And I did see your Instagram video about when you travel with somebody who needs to check your bag. I do not have time for this. I do not have time for this.
I do not have time for this. I do not have time for you.
Travel with us and you check your luggage, you're gonna get left behind.
And I got a personal account of a long weekend in Albuquerque. Where, when she says something, she means it.
She means it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think Turks and Caicos, I tell everybody Turks and Caicos is just unbeatable.
Mhm.
I think
That was pretty neat. Yeah.
I think it's unbeatable. But New York, you just can't. I mean, New York is when I say it's a reliable, I've been a lot. It never gets old.
When you go
I
to New
could
York, you know
go-
what you're getting. You know what you're getting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just always love it.
Mhm.
I always love it.
So if you guys can just kind of tell me and tell everybody where they can find you on social media, your ads and everything.
You can find us on our website, which is where our blog is, at arneradventures.com, or on all of the Meta platforms, which is Facebook at Arner Adventures, or Instagram at Arner Adventures, and YouTube. Our YouTube platform is Arner Adventures. So that was the interview. If you are a newbie here, well, you just learned a lot about us in a Cliff Notes version. If you want the full story of how Arner Adventures got started, you should listen to our very first episode. It's episode number 1, where we went into greater detail, but we wanted to dive into a few questions that have come up since that interview aired regarding our thoughts about social media in relation to mental health.
First, we are believers that social media can be a very good thing. It can bring people together when they are alone. We have made several friends and connections with people via social media with a similar lifestyle as ours, gotten a lot of guidance via social media, and found a spark in our lives. For some of the guests, many of the guests have been social media oriented people. So this has worked out very nice.
Yeah. And, social media, I think we talked about it in that interview, but they are, social media is something that brought a lot of people comfort and community, especially during COVID and quarantine. We also understand that many things on social media can be triggers. There's comparisonitis, as it's often called. There are several boundaries that you can put into place to protect yourself and make a healthy relationship with social media. And that is sort of what we're going to go through over the next few minutes.
Yeah, one of the things that we do is turn off the notifications from all of our social media platforms.
Yeah, the last thing that you want is your phone constantly dinging at you, telling you to go look and see what's going on with the apps or the social media platforms. You should control your social media, not let it control you.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And about a year ago, Instagram tested out hiding likes from creators' posts. Well, we sort of liked the feeling we got from it. So when the option came to hide likes, we chose to do it. There are some times when brands may ask us to leave it public, but for the most part, we leave it hidden.
If you're someone who may feel a sense of that comparisonitis or pressure, this may be an option for you. You can also turn off or hide other people's posts or number of likes. So when you're getting ready to make a post on social media, if you're not familiar with this, you can go into the advanced settings and there is a toggle that has you just hit it and you can hide the number of likes. We have several friends and people in the blogger sphere that do this. They hide their own likes and number of likes, and they hide everyone's number of likes. So it's just a non-issue. I mean, we just feel it's just something that I don't even know why. It's just something that when it started happening to us, and then it became an issue where we were hoping Instagram actually would make it across the board. We were hoping it was just going to go away. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like it, but we have the option and we choose to, when we have the choice, we just choose to hide it because it just has this, there's just something in our heads where we just feel like there's just a pressure that goes away, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I think it's something you focus in on more than you actually realize
Mm-hmm.
until it goes away. Then you go, what was those silly numbers I was always looking at, you know?
I'm so into how people respond in the comments or the DMs about content and about something that's going on that we put out there than I am a number. I would much rather someone respond with words in a positive way, of course, than a like. I mean, that's fine. It's fine, but I would much rather someone comment and say something in a positive way or how something has helped them or send a DM than a like number. You know?
Yeah, the likes can almost get kind of trivial because if you get 12 of them in the first minute or two, you go, oh, people like this. And then
if you-
past that, it's
yeah.
like 700, 800. It's kind of all the same.
Or okay, yeah, and we're also not saying that that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
It is
it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean it is, and we're not downplaying that, but it's also if you don't get them in the first few minutes, you start thinking this is worthless. Should I take this down? Oh no. And especially if you're working with a brand, you start going, oh my God, are they going to think this is terrible? And it's just, you shouldn't put your worth on the amount of likes that you get on a picture is what we're saying,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've made our point.
We
pretty
did.
well.
Okay. Okay.
And we've said this before, but if someone is putting out content that makes you feel uneasy, unlike or unfollow them. If an account makes you feel a certain type of way or puts pressure on you that you don't like, just unfollow. Sometimes people will say things like, oh, but that person is a friend of mine and I don't want them to know. Well, then mute them so they don't show up in your feed. There are ways around it if you don't want to block or unfollow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can also set time limits on your social media. Since social media is a part of our business with Arnert Ventures, I and Jerry too, we were both finding ourselves getting into these rabbit holes when we were having to be on there to post content. So we've started setting time limits when we get on certain platforms. So you can do the same. The algorithm on these platforms, if you haven't seen the documentary, it is true. These algorithms are designed to pull you in. So if you have an allotted amount of time, then use it and then walk away. Again, you should control the platforms. Don't let the platforms control you.
Yeah, make a habit of using it in a positive way. If you're a creator, put out positive content. If you're not a creator, then follow positive organizations or people that you align with. You can make sure that you end your social media sessions by going to those platforms before you log off.
Right. And if you have any ways that help to keep you having a healthy relationship with social media and your mental health, please send them our way. We're always open to hearing about them as well. And you can always find us at arnertventures.com or on Instagram at Arnert Ventures, and both are linked in the show notes.
So until next time, enjoy the journey that you're on. We're wishing you lots of adventures.
Bye.